We have another great show for you this week. We are so excited. On the show, we have the actress Anna Gunn from Breaking Bad, and from her new show, she's got The Most Dangerous Game, New York. Should be a lot of excitement, a lot of drama, and a lot of intensity in those shows. And then in the movies, we have Jack Champion. He is in Avatar: Way of Water. He's also in Scream 6. And then the world of authors, we have two really great authors, Jane Healey, who writes historical fiction, and author Joel Thurm, who also writes a bit historical. He's writing about his time as a casting director in the movie and TV industry. And then we have two more guests. So we got a crazy busy lineup for you this week. From the world of Monster Jam, Weston Anderson, part of the Anderson family, part of the Gravedigger lineage. And then in the world of movies, we have a documentary expert in Louise Malkinson. So we've got a lot of great stuff for you this week, and we're glad that you tuned in. Our guest today is Anna Gunn. She is a two-time Emmy Award-winning actress from Breaking Bad. She is starring in the new Roku channel series, Most Dangerous Game New York. Anna, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Tell us about your new series, Most Dangerous Game New York.
Well, it is. It's a wonderful story and an incredible plot. And the story itself has actually been around for a while, and it's taken a lot of. It's been made into films before. I haven't seen any of them, and I didn't know that before I read the script and before I watched season 1 of Most Dangerous Game. And I just thought the plot was incredible, and the quality of the writing, the acting, everything across the board really, really got me interested right away. So basically the plot is that the storyline is that in the second season revolves around a fighter, a boxer named Victor Suero, who's going through some tough times. And despite all these hurdles in front of him, he would sacrifice. He'd do anything in the world to keep his young sister, who his parents passed. Well, I'm not going to give. I'm trying not to give everything away, but he would do anything to keep his younger sister protected. And lo and behold, he is approached by a gentleman who says, "I have a proposition for you, and it involves a game, they call it, which is a man hunts man game. And if every hour that he laughs, a certain amount of money is deposited into his bank account. There are certain rules he can't break. And there are, I think, I can't remember if it's 5 or 6 people who are professional hunters who pay a lot of money to play this game. And then there's very rich people who also bet on this game.
Definitely.
That's my long pitch for the plot.
That's all good. Yeah, I was going to say, it's one of those great stories that get retold, but definitely with a new twist on it this time. Who are some of the cast members?
There is the wonderful, wonderful Christoph Waltz, who I just was so excited to work with. And we had some great scenes together. And then there's the wonderful David Castaneda, and he's a young actor, but he and I had a little bit of time together. Lovely guy, extremely good actor. He's so good in this, and the chemistry between David and Christoph is also incredible to watch.
Is this series related to the 2020 Most Dangerous Game?
If you're talking about the series, yes. So it first debuted on Quibi, I think. Is that what it's called? Quibi? Forgive me, because it's 6:30 in the morning in LA. But it was an app that I believe a rather short-lived app that released episodes in 10-minute blocks. So, but it was, I believe the app launched around the time that the pandemic started for reasons that I probably don't know. I don't believe that it continued. Roku now has taken it over as an original as they are going into streaming. And so it dropped today. The second series dropped today on the Roku channel for free. It's on Roku devices, et cetera, et cetera. So, and there's no subscription required for that. But yes, it is. There was a season 1 of that, and now this is season 2.
Nice. So it sounds like there's a lot of great places to watch Most Dangerous Game, New York, and to be able to get it for free is phenomenal.
It is, and it's really incredible because, as I say, the quality of everything, the writing, the directing, the acting, and it also is filmed so beautifully. It really draws you in. I mean, I know it was going to happen, and I found myself going, oh, stuff like that. So that's a really good sign when you know what's coming and you still get so sucked into it that you really,
Exactly. When you get emotionally attached like that, I mean, that's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
So how is your role as chairwoman similar to your role in Equity?
Oh, in Equity, I guess both very powerful women, very intelligent. I think both of them have learned to negotiate or navigate a position of, especially the chairwoman. She's in a position of great power, and generally is the only woman in the room. She's all most of the time with a group of men. So both of them having to sort of deal with a very male or typically male world, and I think the difference is, though, the chairwoman, and really what you see of her is there's you see so much more inequity of the human being. I think behind the sort of fierce businesswoman. You don't need to actually see that, and you don't need to know that, but it keeps a certain mystery in Most Dangerous Game about who she really is. I think that's what's interesting. You think, what kind of people would do this? What kind of people would take part in this? What kind of people would come up with this? And I think that the mystery that's left in terms of even Christoph's character, who you get to know a lot better than mine, but there's this air of, well, are they completely this, or did they have colors? There's a complexity to them and a mystery that I find really fascinating.
Exactly. So before we let you go, Anna, where on social media, where on the web, where can we find out more about Most Dangerous Game New York?
That is, you can find more at, forgive me because I do not do any social media, but hashtag the Roku channel. Did I say that right?
Yep.
Hashtag the Roku channel. Thank you so much. And then Instagram at the Roku channel.
Awesome. It has been a pleasure having you on the show today.
Thank you. Nice to talk to you, Shane.
The Dreamhouse Nation loves it when we give out our email address, and that is dreamhousenation@gmail.com. That's dreamhousenation@gmail.com. Write in to win tickets. We are giving away some of the best tickets of the summer. We're giving away tickets to the Sonic Temple in Columbus, Ohio, May 25th through May 28th. Tool, Godsmack, Avenged Sevenfolds, Queens of the Stone Age, Kiss, Rob Zombie, Foo Fighters, the Deftones. It is going to be an amazing event. Write into dreamhousenation@gmail.com to be eligible to win tickets to this huge event. So definitely don't miss out. Sonic Temple, May 25th through the 28th, Columbus, Ohio, historic Crew Stadium. Write in. Enjoy. We are thrilled to share with you Jack Champion, the actor who stole your heart in The Way of Water in the role of Spider. He will be starring in the upcoming slasher film Scream 6 as Ethan. Jack, thank you for joining us today.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
So I understand the big movie comes out Friday, March 10th, Scream 6. Why are you so excited?
I mean, it's just like an honor to be a part of such a like crazy franchise, you know. I mean, and like these movies are just so exciting with like the killer always running after the victim. I feel like New York is a great new psychotic playground for Ghostface, and I don't think we've ever had a Scream movie in a city before, and let alone the city of all cities, New York. So I'm just excited for people to see it.
Yeah, I agree. The other ones have been all in small towns, and it'd be an interesting change of scenery and an interesting new dynamic. So, yeah, we're excited about that. Yesterday, I had a professional movie reviewer, Gray Drake, and she said nothing but great things about you and your bright future in movies. How does that make you feel?
I mean, that makes me really, really happy to hear that. I don't really usually look at like reviews for like my own performance, just but I mean, that makes me really happy to hear, and I have heard a lot of good things about my performance, and everyone just did a phenomenal job with this movie, especially obviously Jenna. Like, of course, as she said, she's a talented person.
Definitely.
It just makes me happy to hear it.
That's awesome. How did your role in Night Sitter prepare you to join the Scream franchise?
It was. I think it helped prepare me because, there's it's kind of a staple in all horror movies to have the chase scene, have the tension build up, and I think to already have done that just obviously helped me. To at least have like a little base foundation of practice before I took on Scream.
What themes do you explore in this installation of the Scream franchise?
I think we explore family more so, and obviously I think we explore kind of stuff like PTSD or trauma and how that can affect people's lives, and some people might be scared for the rest of their life. People might be like, "Oh, it'll never happen again," so they're super loosey goosey. So it's very. I think it's interesting. Like we explore so much of that.
Definitely, yeah. The Scream franchise is known for some traumatic events, so that only makes sense to explore that topic into more detail. How do the characters in this movie differ from previous entries in the franchise? Because I understand there's been some turnover.
Yeah, I think sorry, was the question how are the characters different?
Yeah, how are I understand some of the characters won't be returning, but some of them will be. So, who are some of the ones that'll be back in the movie from number 5?
Oh yeah. So people that are returning from number 5, Courtney Cox is back. She's the nicest, sweetest, most welcoming person I've ever met. And Jenna, Melissa, who plays Sam Carpenter, and Jenna, who plays Tara Carpenter, and also the twins, Chad and Mindy, will be returning, and it's just like the whole cast. Anyone who survived this 5 is back, except for Nev Casley. But yeah, no, they'll all be back, dealing with, I guess you could say, trauma from the last movie, because it only takes place after a year from the last movie, a year after from Scream 5, and it's just all the characters are back, and I think it's just fun to see them.
How would you describe the visual style and tone of this movie?
Ooh. So actually, Brett, the guy named Brett, who was the director of film, photography, or I don't know the exact title, but the guy who basically shot the movie, he did The Black Phone, and he's one of the most talented, filmographers there are. That's probably not the right word, but he like the way the movie's shot is obviously there's a lot of wide shots that's just New York, but especially for the tense scenes, it's very close up on your face because in a place like New York, it's always very cramped. You know, you always have like 1 square foot of room to yourself, so very tight, very close up, and it kind of adds to that claustrophobic feeling of he could be anywhere, and I'm like, and I only have like 1 square space of area for me to move around, and so I think it really helps add that tension.
You're a very busy man. Scream 6 in theaters March 10th. Retribution with Liam Neeson, reprising your role as Spider in Avatar 3 and 4. How do you make time to do it all?
I actually have more spare time than you think because, like, I mean, I could be working for months on end, which is a lot, but then I'm always have like months off, just doing nothing in my hometown, and that's really just like the time that I use to recharge, relax, spend time with family and friends.
That is awesome. It's always great to stay grounded and stay connected with family and friends. I was going to say, if you're having that much time off, I'm surprised you haven't started a rock band or went into the performing arts or, who knows, or heck, David Arquette, who was in the last one, who's unfortunately passed, not the actor, but the character, is back into professional wrestling. So what interesting hobby do you have in mind?
I skate a lot. I go to the skate park, and I'm not really big on tricks. I'm more into transitional skating, so I just kind of like go from ramp to ramp, just kind of cruise around the little skate park for like a couple hours. But I really enjoy kind of like the excitement, but also relaxation of just whether it's with friends or by myself, just cruising around the skate park.
So is Butters your cat?
He is, and he's funny you mentioned because he's literally like in my hoodie right now.
Oh, yeah. For those who haven't seen Butters on the internet, it is a cute kitty cat, and there's a picture of him wearing a crown, and it just looks like a fun kitty cat.
He's a very fun kitty cat. He's super loving and very needy for attention, honestly.
Oh, nice. So, tell us, you got all kinds of things out. I didn't even mention about Freaky Tales. Is that also going to be a scary movie?
No, it won't be a horror movie. It definitely has like a little bit of creepy element, but I think it's mostly like a action drama. But it's or suspense, you could say. But it's basically an anthology, and I play an 80s punk rocker, and it all takes place on like the same fateful night in 1987 where a bunch of things happened, and I was fortunate enough to work with Jay Ellis and Pedro Pascal, and those guys are some of the nicest dudes I've ever met.
That is awesome. I mean, you just got such great work coming out there. Obviously, everyone knows the original horror story of Scream and how it's progressed over the years. And like you said, it's going to be interesting to see them take it to New York and see what new heights they can get out of it. I was going to say all the good questions that I want to ask might give away things, and I don't want to ruin any of it. But what was your audition process like for Scream?
Oh, that was interesting because I think I auditioned. No, okay. So I actually didn't even have like a normal audition. So like I met the producer, and then I immediately got the screen test, and and everyone got the same. Anyone who auditioned, they had like a scene where they were acting scared, and then a scene where they had like a killer's monologue. And I just did that in front of the directors over Zoom, and I guess they liked me because next thing you know, I got the role, and it was great.
That is awesome. Well, congratulations on that. Before we let you go, where on social media, where on the web, where can our listeners find out more about Jack Champion?
I have a TikTok and a Instagram, but I think I'm more active. Well, I've been more active on TikTok as of recently, but I guess Instagram's the number one thing because that just shows me my whole life. on a platform right there.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us, Jack. We are excited about your new movie, Scream 6, in theaters March 10th. Have a good one.
Yeah, sure.
Sonic Temple Art and Music Festival is back at historic Crew Stadium in Columbus, Ohio, with the Foo Fighters, Tool, Avenged Sevenfold, Kiss, plus Rob Zombie, Deftones, Queens of the Stone Age, Godsmack, and more. Memorial Day weekend. Passes are on sale now at SonicTempleFestival.com for only $10 down.
Our guest today is Jane Healey. She is the author of the new book, Good Night from Paris, a novel. Jane, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thanks so much for having me.
So, when did you first knew that you wanted to be a writer?
Oh gosh, elementary school, quite honestly. But it took me a little while to get here. That's ancient times now. But yeah, I always wanted to be a novelist. I always wanted to write fiction. But I didn't really get serious about it until I guess it was my late 20s, early 30s. I started, kind of working on it in the fringes of my life.
So what inspired you to write Good Night from Paris?
The Good Night from Paris is it's my fourth historical fiction novel. It's my third World War II novel. And I wasn't intending on writing another World War II novel, but I learned about the story of this American Hollywood actress. Her name was Drew Layton. And she was an Hollywood actress in the 1930s. She was a rising star. She is probably most known for her roles in the Charlie Chan films. And she left it all behind in 1938 to marry the love of her life, a Frenchman named Jacques Tartier, and moved to Paris with him. And in 1939, Jacques went off to war, and her family and Jacques tried to get her to move back to America for the duration of the war, and she refused. And so not a lot of acting jobs. So her first job while he was away at war, before France was occupied, was essentially the Voice of America, broadcasting news of what was happening on the continent of Europe to an American audience. And she worked the night shift because the hours were better for an American audience, and telling them what was really going on in Europe. And and she was so good at her job that the Germans started broadcasting on their radio stations that they were going to execute her once they occupied France.
Oh wow! I mean, that's pretty intense that they were specifically going after her. Gosh, so it's based on a true story.
Yes, it's all true. I mean, this is fiction. It's inspired by her life. And of course, with a novel, you have to have a beginning, middle, and end. You have to take some leaps. But her story, a lot of her story is stranger than fiction. It was just so compelling and interesting, everything she went through during the war, that I had to try to write it.
So how is Good Night from Paris different from your other books?
It's different. It was more of a challenge because Drew, my other books, the protagonist, the main character, was a fictional character, completely made up. But Drew was a real person in history. So I really wanted to make sure I honored her voice, her life, her experiences, still fictional, still a work of fiction, but I wanted to honor her as a person, because I knew that somewhere out there, she probably has family. And as a matter of fact, since I started writing the book, I got in contact with her granddaughter and grandson, and they've been really, really supportive of the book, and say they really like the novel, and have sent me some of her scrapbooks so I could scan them and use some of it for my research. So that's been wonderful. But yeah, when you're dealing with a real person in history, there's certain parameters you have to stay within, whereas a fictional main character, you can take more leaps.
So is it fair to say that she chose a path less taken because of love?
Yeah, she really did. I don't know if she was just disillusioned with Hollywood or so head over heels with her husband that she took the path less taken. And then, of course, the war happened, and she, sent her life in a whole other trajectory. So, she's the voice of America, and then France is occupied, and so she starts using her married last name Chartier in the hopes that the Germans wouldn't make the connection with the radio personality Drew Layton. And she did some remarkable things. She got involved with the resistance, the French resistance, in small ways and then larger ways. As Allied flyers started getting shot and crashing all over France rather. She started helping those flyers, British, Canadian, and American flyers, get out of occupied territory and into safety. She did some really remarkable, courageous things.
So is it fair to say that, she grew up in California or Wisconsin and had time in Mexico and New York and Switzerland and, what was it? Oh, and of course, France. And is it fair to say that she's a woman of the world?
She was, yeah. She was a very sophisticated woman of the world for sure. Yes, yeah. I think that, that was one of the reasons why she took to living in France as her adopted country. She just really, not only did she fall in love with Jacques, she fell in love with the country of France and its people.
Do you have any other books in the works?
I am working on something else. I'm a little superstitious about it because it's early days, so I won't share too much except that it's not quite World War II. It's more World War II adjacent, I like to say.
Nice. I was going to say that's always good. Working on new projects, and it sounds like, you've had a lot of success with all 4 of your books.
Yes, thank you very much. I've been really fortunate. Readers have been wonderful. I've met and talked with readers who are now friends all over the world. So it's really been terrific. And hopefully, this book is just out a week, so hopefully it will also be well received.
So, Jane, before we let you go, where on social media, where on the web, where can our listeners find out more about you and your new novel, Good Night from Paris?
Oh, thank you for asking. So on Instagram, I'm at Healey Jane, and Twitter as well. And on Facebook, it's Jane Healey Books. And my website is janehealey.com, and that's HEALEY.com.
Awesome. It has been a pleasure having you on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Sonic Temple Art and Music Festival is back at historic Crew Stadium in Columbus, Ohio, with the Foo Fighters, Tool, Avenged Sevenfold, Kiss, plus Rob Zombie, Deftones, Queens of the Stone Age, Godsmack, and more. Memorial Day weekend. Passes are on sale now at SonicTempleFestival.com for only $10 down.
Our guest today is Weston Anderson from Monster Jam. We are excited to talk with him all about the upcoming shows in Columbus, Ohio, and Cincinnati, Ohio. And of course, our listeners know that we've had the pleasure of having 2 other Andersons on before, so he completes the hat trick for us, Ryan Anderson, and we had Kristen Anderson. Weston, thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm glad that I could finally get on here. My brother and my sister got on here, so now it's my turn.
Excellent. So we're excited about Saturday, April 1st and 2nd. Monster Jam Arena, Schottenheim Center, Columbus, Ohio. Why are you excited about it?
Man, I mean, why wouldn't I be? I get to drive monster trucks all weekend. It's going to be super fun. We have a 3-event weekend in Columbus, Ohio. 2 pit parties. So it's going to be a nice laid-back weekend. We are going to throw down in the truck.
Awesome. So, of course, we got that show, but we also, because our show airs in Cincinnati and Columbus, Ohio, we have April 15th and 16th at Heritage Bank Center in Cincinnati. So we got 4 6 great shows for people to go out and see, because each one has their 3 different opportunities for the fans to come out. So
absolutely, man. It's going to be my first time coming to each one of the venues there, and I want to come there. I want to make a name for myself, so I'm going to drive extra hard. And also, whenever we come to Cincinnati, it's 4 days before my birthday. So, I'm going to go out there, try and win. I want to get a win before my birthday. So, you have any questions about any of the shows that we have going on?
Oh, definitely. But you just said something interesting. So are you April 19th or April 20th?
I'm April 20th.
Ooh, so your birthday is 4/20. My former guest, Raylan Nelson, would be very jealous of your birth date. Yeah, she's Willie's granddaughter, real nice young lady, and she did a concert specifically around that day, but that's another story. So what trucks should we look forward to seeing at the event?
So we have 8 trucks, of course, yours truly. We have Gravedigger. We have Bernard Light and Megalodon, Armando Castro and El Toro Loco, Chad Tingler, he's a veteran. He's in Zombie this year. Lindsay Reed, Scooby-Doo, she's a World Finals freestyle champion. We have Dalton Widener in Jurassic Attack. One of my best friends, Hunter Souza's in Earthshaker. It's his rookie year this year, so he's coming out, throwing down all the time. And then we also have another veteran, Frank Krimmel, in Stone Crusher.
That is awesome. It sounds like a jam-packed lineup. I'm not going to lie to you. I love it when the better design the car, the more interesting it is for me. And obviously having Scooby-Doo and El Toro and the Zombie, was Zombie one of them?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yep, big, crazy 12,000-pound zombie.
Yeah, so I mean, just all kinds of exciting cars or trucks to come out and see. What is your favorite part of the event?
Man, my favorite part of the event probably has to be the pit party. It's whenever all the fans, they get to come up, do a meet and greet with us, and it's just such an amazing feeling seeing all the little kids get super excited whenever they come up and meet you and get to see the truck in person. We will have one on Saturday morning at 10:30 and then one on Sunday at 10:30 for each weekend. So the 1st and 2nd, and then the 16th, I believe it is, and the 17th. And then other than that, it's probably has to be our one competition. It's freestyle. That's where we have 75 seconds to go out there and do whatever we want. And I believe we have a backflip ramp for each one of these venues. We're trying to expand that out, get backflip ramps in each one of our venues in the arenas, and it's truly an amazing sight seeing a 12,000-pound truck backflip in an arena. It's crazy.
Oh, wow. That is huge news, because I was under the impression that with it being arena, I was like, oh, man, we're going to miss out on the backflips, because we got to go up and we saw Ryan, and he had the backflips going because it was in the stadium. But in the arena, they're going to have back. Oh, my gosh, that is so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a jump out there. It's 8 tires, and basically it's a gamble. You go up, you hit it, and you either land it or you don't. And I promise you guys, if someone goes out there and doesn't land it, I will come out there and try my best to land it and give you fans a backflip.
Nice. Now, my favorite, because I agree with you, the freestyle is definitely the highlight of the event, but I love the donuts. How much fun is it doing those, or do the G-forces get a little bit there?
Oh, man, the G-forces are absolutely there, but it's always a blast. I do my donuts a little bit different, too. A lot of drivers, they are trained and they go to the left whenever they do their donuts, and I go to the right whenever I do mine. So the truck tends to spin a little bit faster, and sometimes it'll get going so fast it'll flip over on its roof.
Oh, wow. That's intense. So where's the best place to buy tickets?
I'm not sure if either of these buildings are with Ticketmaster, but I know 100% positive you can go on monsterjam.com and hit the Get Tickets Now tab at the bottom of your screen, scroll down to whichever event you want to go to, and hit Buy Tickets, and you can get your pit party and everything on there.
That is so cool. Yeah, I was going to say that is one of the best parts about the event, because that's a great thing. I don't know any other sport that offers such personal athlete and fan interaction. I mean, is that why Monster Jam fans are so passionate about the sport and their favorite drivers, is because of things like the pit party, where, you know, it really shows where the drivers care about the fans?
Absolutely. You know, for the past 40 something years, that's been my dad's motto. The fans make us what we are today. And if it wasn't for them, Monster Jam wouldn't be where it's at. And actually last year we celebrated 40 years of Gravedigger. We're on 41 now. So Gravedigger for sure wouldn't be where it's at without the fans. And the pit party is a huge thing to do with that, getting to have such personal interactions with all the fans and seeing all the little kids and just having a good time with them, you know?
Oh, definitely. And I love how your all sponsors, Great Clips, does the little mohawk thing at the event. That's always fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Come there and get your kid's hair spray painted in Gravedigger color, El Toro color, whatever.
Nice. So what did you do before you became a Monster Jam driver?
So I worked around the Gravedigger shop ever since I was, I don't know, like 8 years old. And we actually ran a race team from whenever I was 11 and all the way up until now. We're still running it whenever I'm off the road. And I was driving mega trucks. I came to Ohio a couple times and ran the mega trucks. It's basically a monster truck except for a little bit more horsepower and about half the weight. So they're pretty wicked.
Oh, wow. That is awesome. And I understand another thing that's pretty wicked is when you guys all get together as a family, you love driving all kinds of different types of vehicles around the complex.
Oh, absolutely. We have side-by-sides, four-wheelers. The biggest thing that me and Ryan mess with are the RC cars because you don't have to worry about fixing them as much, and they're just a total blast. But it's super nice. Whenever we're on tour, we get away from each other, so we miss each other just enough to want to see each other. But the only time we'll actually be on tour together is if we make it to World Finals. So
down in
we'll
Nashville.
have to win our tours. Oh, yeah, we all have to win our tours and try and get there, and then we're not friends because we want to beat each other as much as we can.
Nice. And then, you mentioned about the RC cars. I love the Spin Master brand. They do some amazing things with their products.
Absolutely. And we just did a partnership a few years ago with Losi and Horizon Hobby, and they have a Gravedigger LMT and a Son of a Digger LMT. They just released the other two trucks that I ran prior to Monster Jam, and those things are a total blast.
Definitely. So there's all kinds of great stuff going on. But we want to hear some stories from the past. We want to hear about your time at Monster Jam University.
So it's actually a funny story. I didn't quite get the full experience of Monster Jam University going to Paxton, Illinois, and all of that because I was it was such a late-minute decision. I was still running the mega trucks and didn't really know if I wanted to jump in monster trucks yet. And then I got the call from Monster Jam. I think it was like December 20th or so of 2021. So then I flew down to Florida super quick and got in a seat that fitted me, threw it in a truck, and I had practiced for about 3 days at a track that they have down there at Hunsader Farms. And then they said, you know what, you got the job, and we're throwing you on tour in Gravedigger in 7 days.
Oh, wow.
So, oh yeah, it was a learning curve for sure, going from the mega trucks to the monster trucks. But, you know, we took off running with it, man.
Awesome. Since you were there for such a short amount of time, did you have any classmates from down there that have gone on to the majors?
Actually, I didn't try out with anybody, so I don't know whenever they do their normal practice times, but it didn't set on top of whenever they would have other classmates there. So I'm not quite sure if there was anybody else down there or not. I know there was some new drivers that I saw down there that were getting trained prior to me coming there, and all four of them made it in.
Nice. I was going to say, shoot, I always love those stories when they're like, oh, yeah, so-and-so, we were in the class together, and now we're rivals, or now they're in this tour, and I'm winning my thing, and they're winning that thing. So that's why I always like asking that question. Another thing I love about Monster Jam is that it is a competition. However, the drivers and the crews still are able to work together to put on the best show. And by that, I mean, like say if one of the other competitors' axle breaks or something, your teammates, your crew will step up and help them. I just think that's so phenomenal. Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. And even since I grew up around the monster trucks, I know them pretty well in and out. And Team Throttle Monster, which is Dalton Widener and Hunter Souza, if their truck ever breaks, I'm usually there until 2-3 o'clock in the morning helping them fix it. And even this past weekend, we had some issues with my truck. We were doing a 5-show weekend, so it's super tough on trucks sometimes. And we had a broken axle after one competition. I jumped out of the truck. The El Toro Locos crew chief came over. My crew chief came over, threw a new axle in it in 10 minutes, made it to the next competition. And then we burned up a steering pump in the next competition. So then I jumped back out of the truck and everybody scrambled. We had the Megalodon crew chief. We had the Stone Crusher crew chief. We had everybody over there trying to get their hands on Gravedigger and get it back for the competition. And they got it back, and we made it back. We won freestyle and got the overall event championship. So it just made it that much more great that everybody had their hands in there on it and everybody was a part of it.
That is awesome. That's the great thing. Not just obviously your family, because when we talk about the families of Monster Jam, you're the first one that comes to mind, but just in general, it feels like there's such a strong connection between you and the other drivers that you all feel like family.
Absolutely. We have to deal with each other for 25 weekends on end sometimes, and the best way to do that is become friends with them. So we're friends off the track. We go out whenever we're in a city. We try and see new sights, see anything cool that we've never seen before. But as soon as we put the helmets on, we are complete enemies. We're competitors then, and we go out there and we try and beat each other as much as possible. And then the helmets come back off and we all go out to dinner somewhere together. So it's funny seeing that go down.
Nice. Now, we talked about Nashville a little bit, the World Finals. What do you think about it being at a new location? How does that make you feel?
Being in Nashville, it is going to be super cool. There's so much fun things to do around there. So many cool sights to see, being in Tennessee and Music City. The fans are going to be electric. I know that for sure. I'm excited. I actually started my tour in Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, and those were the loudest fans that I've had so far this year. And it was just, the place was packed out. Every single show that we did, it was so amazing, so much camaraderie there. There was so many cool people to meet.
That is awesome. So we are excited about, of course, Saturday, April 1st, Sunday, April 2nd, Schottenstein Center, Columbus, Ohio. And then, of course, a couple weekends later, Saturday, April 15th and Sunday, April 16th at Heritage Bank Center. So all kinds of great stuff going on in Ohio. We're excited about having you on the show today, and we're excited about seeing that in person. Before we let you go, we're on social media, we're on the web. Where can our listeners find out more about Monster Jam?
You can go on monsterjam.com. You can look up Monster Jam on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We're across all platforms. And if you want to look at any of my stuff, you can look me up on Instagram, Weston Anderson _GD. And I'll usually post prior to an event and give y'all information or anything you need. But your best bet for looking for tickets or anything is definitely monsterjam.com. And you can also get merchandise on there now at the Monster Jam Superstore. So if you want to get some Gravedigger swag before you come out and cheer me on, then that's the place to do it.
That's awesome. Thank you for joining us, Weston.
Absolutely. Thank you.
The Dreamhouse Nation loves it when we give out our email address, and that is dreamhousenation dreamhousenation@gmail.com. That's dreamhousenation@gmail.com. Right in to win tickets. We are giving away some of the best tickets of the summer. We're giving away tickets to the Sonic Temple in Columbus, Ohio, May 25th through May 28th. Tool, Godsmack, Avenged Sevenfold, Queens of the Stone Age, Kiss, Rob Zombie, Foo Fighters, the Deftones. It is going to be an amazing event. Right into dreamhousenation@gmail.com to be eligible to win tickets to this huge event. So definitely don't miss out. Sonic Temple, May 25th through the 28th, Columbus, Ohio, historic Crew Stadium. Right in. Enjoy. Our guest today is Louise Malkinson, the creating force behind the upcoming Netflix documentary on the 2014 Malaysian airline flight that vanished, MH370, the plane that disappeared. We're excited about having you on, Louise.
It's great to be here. Great to be here and talk about it, yeah.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't mean to laugh other than the fact that I started trying to pronounce MH370 like it was a word. I was like, that's not a word. That's initials. Speaking of that, what is MH370?
So, yeah, MH370 was a Malaysian Airlines flight. It was just a routine red-eye flight that was left off from Kuala Lumpur on the 8th of March, 2014, and it was due to arrive in Beijing at dawn the following morning, but it didn't arrive. The plane took off, and about 1:20 in the morning, it lost all forms of communication. The plane went completely dark and vanished with the 239 passengers that were on board.
Wow. I mean, it was supposed to just be a traditional, normal flight, like you said, red eye, so in the morning. But obviously the documentary goes into why or what we believe happened, I'm guessing.
That's right. So what we've done is, the series looks at, what happened. The first episode breaks down the events of that night and the preceding weeks, because it made headline news all over the world. CNN were running it, almost 24 hours a day as the situation unfolded. And then over the course of the 3 episodes, we examined various theories that are out there as to what might have happened. But the heart of the series for us really was always the families of the people that were lost on that flight, because to be 8 years down the line and have nothing and no closure is just unimaginable. So they were, they were the heart of it for us. And one of the things we really wanted to do with the series was, put the story, put MH370 back in the public domain, because the plane hasn't been found. We are 9 years down the line and the plane still hasn't been found. And it's really important that people don't forget about this. The worst fear for the family members is that it just gets forgotten and it's a tragedy and they have to move on. But there's a lot of answers, the questions that still need answering, and they want to find the plane, so they want to resume a search to find the plane.
What does it mean when a plane vanishes off a radar screen?
So basically, all of at that point, the plane was transferring between the Malaysian airlines, the Malaysian airspace into Vietnamese space, and basically absolutely everything went dark. So there was no communications with that plane at all from that point on. And that is, normally if that happens, it would be as a result of a catastrophic incident. So, the plane's tragically blown up, or so that's what's so extraordinary about this, because the plane went completely dark, but then because they had they were able to extract data from a satellite, because there's satellite communication equipment on the plane. They realized that the plane continued to fly for, 6 hours after it lost contact. But sadly, there was no GPS information in that satellite data at all. So the British company that owned the satellite data, they did some really incredible maths to try and work out where the plane had gone. But it's just an extraordinary set of circumstances, and it's just, a complete mystery.
So why is a commercial flight safer than a private flight?
Oh, I wouldn't know about that. I don't think. I mean, a commercial flight is, it's the safest way to travel, isn't it? And I think that's another thing about this story, because as tragic as air accidents are tragic, but we learn from what happened, and that's how safety has improved all the time. We don't know what happened with this flight, and that's what's extraordinary. And not wanting to scaremonger or anything, but it is it's really important for everybody, for the flying public, that we find out what happened to that plane if we can.
Definitely, yeah. My point was that, it's so rare that something like this happens. I mean, this is a one-time incident where private planes, more issues can happen more often, I would think.
Possibly, yeah, possibly. I mean, it is, this is a huge 777, aircraft. They are like flying huge computers, and as we know, you've got your iPhone, it tracks, everybody knows where everybody is all the time. So the idea that this plane would just completely go dark and there was so little, it is absolutely extraordinary.
So why is this the greatest unsolved mystery of our time?
I think for that reason, for that reason, it was 2014. It wasn't. We're not talking 100 years ago. We had mobile phones, there's satellites, there's tracking. So the fact that it went missing and there is so little information in the modern world, I think it's so rare. We're so used to being able to piece things together. We're able to find where find evidence and put it together, and that's just, there's so little information with this particular case that it is just extraordinary.
So, of course, the best place to watch it is Netflix. When does it start up?
So it's streaming now. So, you can go to Netflix now and watch all 3 episodes.
Excellent. And then before we let you go, where on social media, where on the web, where can our listeners find out more about you and your work, and, of course, the documentary series?
So we made this series with Raw Productions, who make lots of really amazing, fantastic television, and so we're based in London. And if you want to see more of Raw's work, their website is let me just double check this. It is www.raw.co.uk. It's fantastic, and you can see all of the amazing work that they do at Raw on that website.
Definitely. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. It's been
Our
great
guest
to chat.
today is Detective Robin Anzillotti. He is a former chief of detectives in New Jersey, graduate of FBI National Academy. He has coaxed multiple confessions out of the serial killer Richard Cottingham in the 2-part special, The Torso Killer Confessions, on A&E. Detective, thank you for joining us today.
Well, it's a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me on.
So who is the Torso Killer?
So the Torso Killer is a serial killer by the name of Richard Cottingham, who killed here in New Jersey and adjoining states in the 60s and 70s. He was ultimately arrested in 1980 and is doing multiple life sentences. No one had connected him to some of these murders in the 60s and 70s until I began speaking to him in 2004 when I was assigned these cold cases as a homicide investigator. and it ended up being a decades-long journey of a relationship with this serial killer, and I logged hundreds and hundreds of hours with him and finally coaxed some confessions out of him.
So why did the torso killer only target young women?
He had a fetish for women, including torturing young women, holding them hostage for time, sexually assaulting women. He claims to have sexually assaulted hundreds of women that he ultimately let go, and the others he killed, mainly because he felt they could identify him or connect him to a crime. In the end, he's now admitted to and been connected to, I believe, a total of 18 homicides in New York and New Jersey. And we believe, though, he could be good for dozens and dozens more.
There's speculation that the torso killer has killed over 100 women. What do you believe the real number is?
It's impossible to put a real number on it. I do think, though, given the time frame, he began killing in the, let's call it the mid-1960s, and he wasn't apprehended until 1980. So that's 50 long years of his brutal run. So even if you just attribute a couple of years to him, the numbers are just astounding and quite staggering when you think about it.
So tell us about the years that you spent forming a relationship with him.
Sure. So I had been assigned some cold case homicides involving, we had a dozen unsolved cases involving young women here in Bergen County, New Jersey. And while he wasn't a suspect in all of them, I suspected he could be good for a few of them. And over the years, I began talking to him. He'd never confessed to any of his crimes. He took all of the cases that he was originally arrested on to trial and was convicted. He had never cooperated with law enforcement. So he was quite reluctant, but over the course of some years, I finally gained his trust. And 6 years into our relationship, I got his first confession, which was to a 1967 homicide of a local housewife and mother of 2 children.
So,
and as the years continued and our off-and-on relationship continued, I'd ultimately get a number of other confessions out of him, all of which are featured on this A&E special.
So how do you build that relationship? Is it a lot of visiting him in jail, I guess?
It began by me visiting him in prison, and ultimately I was able to get permission from the prison and the courts to begin bringing him out of prison and to my headquarters on my own turf. So he would sometimes spend several days up at my headquarters, and we'd spend all day and all night together. Sometimes we would talk about his crimes, and other times we would just talk about life in general. At night, sometimes I'd play cards with him. I'd have other detectives in the interview room playing cards with us, and just make him feel like a human being. But in the end, he's just a brutal monster, and the end goal was to gain his trust and get these confessions.
So about how many additional confessions were you able to get from him?
So after that first confession in 2010, I have now gotten an additional 6 confessions from him, including one that has just been made public this week that I obtained from him almost a year after I retired. So I retired from law enforcement in middle of 2021, and the latest confession I obtained from him was in March of 2022, and that was for the January 1967 rape and murder of a 17-year-old teenage girl here in Bergen County, New Jersey.
So where is the best place for our listeners to watch the Torso Killer Confessions?
So the Torso Killer Confessions airs on A&E Network at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. This Thursday, March 9th, is part 1, and Friday, March 10th, also at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on A&E Network, is part 2. Each is a 2-hour special.
They're really known for their great in-depth documentaries and being able to get that inside information. How were they able to get such unprecedented access to the interrogation, the confession, the extra footage, all the different things that really just blow the case open?
You'll have to watch the special to see, but there's a lot of inside information, and many of the detectives and prosecutors that worked the cases both originally in 1980 and more recently in these last 20 years that have worked cooperatively with me to get these confessions all tell their story and have all provided some very unique footage of their time and my time with Richard Cottingham. I think your viewers will certainly enjoy what they see.
Switching over to a happier subject, tell us a little bit about the Anzillotti Group.
So I retired in 2021, as I mentioned, and when I say retired, really just transitioned into the private sector. I have the Anzillotti Group is a security and private investigative firm and public safety consulting work. So I've been blessed with a number of great clients. We run one of our local universities, campus safety and security, among some other high-level corporate security work. And I've now ventured into some high-level corporate and good law firm private investigative contracts. So trying to keep up my detective skills that I honed over in 30 years of law enforcement.
That is awesome. Even after being retired, you're still helping people and still contributing to society. That is phenomenal. So before we let you go, where on social media, where on the web, where can we find out more about you, and where can we find out more about the Torso Killer Confessions?
Sure. My website is anzillottigroup.com. And, of course, on LinkedIn and my Instagram and Facebook as well. And, of course, the show is featured on A&E's website as well as the production company that did the show, Cineflix.
Thank you for
feel free to look us up.
Thank you for joining us, Detective.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.